Hey guys, I'm back and I'm going to pick up where I left off last time in the archive, March 8th, 2021, which was a Monday. And just a note, it is so beautiful and cool and crisp, and I think it's made me sick. I don't feel well. And I've been trying to limit the vocal fry on my the sound of my voice by breathing, because I'm realizing that I don't breathe when I do this podcast, but I don't feel well, so my voice sounds different, I think, a little bit. um when it's like a weird, when your throat feels, it doesn't hurt, but it feels really dry, like abnormally dry, and then you just have a general sick feeling. That's what's going on. So, not the best state to be in when you're talking about food, because nothing seems appetizing. But I'm going to go for it anyway. And I'm going to start off on March 8th, 2021. It was a Monday. 9 a.m. Ruby coffee with half and half. Salami and cheddar sandwich on baguette made at home. 2 p.m. Tortilla chips and hummus and chai made at home. 5 p.m. Flaming hot Doritos, ginger tonic, and half of a Dovetail Rausch beer. 7 p.m. Potato pierogies, onions, sour cream, and smoked Polish made by Brian. Okay. I would love a salami and cheddar sandwich right now, despite not having an appetite. That's how much I would love one of those sandwiches. I love a roast beef and cheddar or a salami and cheddar sandwich. I gotta say, ginger tonic though, that would sound really good right now. And looks like we had a pretty good stash of the Dovetail beer, which I talked about last time. That really good Northern Chicago brewery. And if you're just catching up on this, this is all taking place in Chicago. A lot of the archives take place in Chicago. Sorry, I should clarify that at the beginning of all these archival episodes. So we have access to different foods than now when we're in North Carolina. So this Rausch beer, I'm pretty sure that was the smoked beer that tastes like a house fire. And I think Brian was buying that because I don't like I don't like smoke as a flavor. I don't really like grilling outside or barbecuing. So I really don't like camping. I don't like that we have to cook everything over a fire. I mean, if you want to put like a plancha or like a cook over a fire with pans, but smoking stuff, I don't know. I'm not really into like smoky flavors. And an artificial smoke flavor, forget about it. It's disgusting. So like, well, and apparently almost all beers used to be smoky because they would, smoke was one of the only ways where they were cooking and preserving things back in the day. So beers just used to taste like smoke. Thank God that's changed, because nasty. And Brian made pierogies by hand. They were great. And then we had smoked sausage all over that. I remember that distinctly. I have a picture of it. Maybe that's why I remember it. Okay. March 9th, 2021. It was a Tuesday. 9 a.m. Leftover coffee with half and half. Turmeric egg over mashed potato made by Brian. 11 a.m. Iced coffee with half and half from Brew Brew. 2 p.m. Kimchi Wang Mandu from Joong. 7 p.m. Leftover pierogies and sour cream and half of a Metropolis Kolsch. 9 p.m. Gochujang popcorn made by Brian. Okay, so I think Brew Brew is a coffee shop in Pilsen. When I was leaving Pilsen, A lot of coffee shops were going in, rapidly gentrifying. I mean, it makes sense. It's so close to the downtown. It was cheap. People are opening coffee shops there left and right. There was this one coffee shop called Fox something, and it was off the beaten path in Pilsen, and it was only open strange hours and a few days a week because the woman who ran it also had a full-time job, like a full-time office job. So, and she was also like the only employee. I mean, I think she had one employee sometimes, but she didn't have enough time to run the coffee shop. So you'd go in there, and I know it was like COVID era still, so things were weird, but you'd go in there and you couldn't sit down anywhere. It was just stacks and stacks of backstocked coffee cups and lids everywhere. So you'd have to climb over that to get to her counter. And she would make you a coffee or a breakfast sandwich, whatever you wanted. She did have good coffee. She used, and now I'm going to forget. There was this coffee roaster in this experimental place in back of the yard where they had breweries. They had a lot of food makers there, and you could rent a space and make food. And it was like a hydroponic recycled system where they had plants and fish in the basement, and they would recycle all the waste through these tubes. What was it called? Anyway, there was a coffee roaster based out of there, and they made really amazing coffee, but they couldn't keep up. Well, I think I don't remember what happened. I think maybe she just burnt out, or she didn't want to keep up with her wholesale orders. I think she's still roasting it, but just for friends and family. What was the name of that coffee? Anyway, this terrible coffee shop used that amazing coffee. And the best / worst part of this coffee shop was that she didn't know what she was doing, so she never cleaned her toaster oven. So the whole inside of the coffee shop would be filled with smoke at all times. I mean, you could barely see her. I don't think she must not have had fire or smoke alarms because they would have been going off constantly. So probably, despite all this, probably one of the better coffee shops in Pilsen. Maybe it was a step up from another failed coffee shop in Pilsen called Step Down Cafe, which, what a name for a coffee shop or any establishment. Step down. I mean, you had to take a step down into the coffee shop in order to get in there, which is like, okay, do you want your coffee shop to flood? But that didn't last. I mean, it was open like a couple years. So many coffee shops opened in Pilsen, but none of them could really compete with the mainstay, which is actually expanding. I'm blanking on the name of every Chicago establishment. Jumping Bean, Cafe Jumping Bean, the OG Pilsen coffee shop, which kind of blows, but you got to support it, I guess. But yeah, I was living on 18th Street, so I was surrounded by a lot of coffee shops. This place, Brew, I think they use counterculture coffee. Not great, but it was something. They often didn't have the right. Every time I got a cold coffee there, they served it to me in a hot cup because they didn't have iced coffee cups. Okay, I remembered it. So it's called 4-letter word coffee. And they're based at the plant. That's the name of the plant. Weiner Brewing is based there. And 4-letter word. So according to their website, 4-letter word coffee roasts direct trade coffee at the plant with coffee shops in Logan Square and Burgazada in Istanbul. Burgazada. I don't know. I took 4 semesters of Turkish, and all I remember is that the emphasis is supposed to go on the first syllable of most Turkish words, so hope I said that right. Okay. Great coffee. Looks like they have a lot of interesting businesses there. Bike-a-bee. My sister actually sends all her clients honey from Bike-a-bee every year. I personally think it tastes kind of funny, but I'm not a huge honey fan in general. Okay. Let me get back to what I was talking about. Why was I even talking about that? Coffee shops in Pilsen. 4-letter word. That weird Fox place served 4-letter word. Okay. Moving on. I do want to talk about Joong, which is an amazing Korean grocery store in the north side of Chicago. And there's a mandu cart outside, and they sell these mandu. And if you don't know what they are, they're like a giant steamed bun that's filled. And you can just have one, and it's so hot and filling. And it was so cheap. And that's something that I miss a lot. I don't really think there's anything like that. I've been to, a number of Asian grocery stores in the Triangle, and I'm always looking for that sort of quick, cheap option of a food takeaway to complement the in-store shopping experience, and it doesn't exist. There's a place called Li Ming's that has like on the border of Durham and Chapel Hill, that has a like a choose 3 style, but you have to talk to them, and they don't. I mean, I guess they don't really speak English. You just have to point, and it's difficult because it's like 4 rows deep, so they don't really know what you're pointing at. But it's pretty good. It's really greasy. It's more authentic Chinese than what you would get at like a hole in the wall American Chinese place. Really good, like Szechuan eggplant and mixed vegetables. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, well, actually, what I do want, there was this Asian grocery store I went to in Raleigh where I really need to go back, because it was like a tiny, I mean, sometimes the best places to eat are places inside grocery stores, at least for Mexican places. That's the place to get tacos. This seemed like the case for this Asian grocery store I went to. And I think it was like a Filipino restaurant that was inside there. People were lined up, entire families. And I do need to go back and check that out. Okay. I need to move on. March 10th, 2021. It was a Wednesday. 10 a.m. Ruby coffee with half and half, curried squash, and smoked Polish over tortillas made at home. 2 p.m. Mushrooms, carrots, and onion in chili black bean sauce over white rice made at home. 4 p.m. White chocolate. 7 p.m. Chicken succotash and caper cauliflower over white rice made by Brian, and a bottle of Metropolis Kolsch. Curried squash and smoked Polish. It sounds like something, I mean, all of this food is very Brian. Chicken succotash, caper cauliflower. Brian loves to make things with capers. Brian loves to open a can of something and then put it in the fridge and never use it again and let it go bad. I mean, capers don't really go bad, but do you know what I mean? Like a can of tomato paste and then just put it in the fridge. And you cannot put your tomato paste in the can in the fridge because it's dangerous. My mom for Christmas got me this big glass jar of tomato paste from Italy. And it was way too much for one serving of anything, any dish. And the directions on the bottle said, consume within 3 days of opening this jar. And I was like, okay, like, so a cafeteria could use this, or a restaurant? I guess freezing tomato paste is always an option, but why can't we figure out how to preserve tomato paste? It sits in the tube, like the squeezy tube that people have, like you get the tube and you just squeeze it out. Oh, I mean, are you also supposed to eat that within 3 days? March 11th, 2021. It was a Thursday. 9 a.m. Ruby coffee with half and half and leftover vegetables over rice made at home. 1 p.m. Chicken tingo tostada from El Mesquite. 6 p.m. Pepperoni and mushroom pizza from Bob's and a tall can of Budweiser. Now, this is what I'm talking about, this chicken tinga tostada from El Mesquite. I've talked about this before. Right across the street from my house on 18th Street in Pilsen. The best chicken tinga tostada that money can buy. And it was like $3.25. Maybe that. So good. My sister and I have always tried to recreate it, and we could never. And then Bob's Pizza. There wasn't any other pizza in Pilsen that was good. I moved to Chicago from New York, where I was used to getting quality pizza for any amount of money at any time of day. And when I moved to Chicago, I naively thought I could just stop at any random pizza place in Pilsen and get a good slice of pizza. So wrong. The standard run-of-the-mill cheap pizza in Chicago is a cracker-like crust. If you've ever had a frozen home run-in pizza, it's very similar to that. Very different from a Chicago New York slice where it's chewy and yeasty. The default cheap bad pizza in Chicago is tavern style cracker crust, which isn't bad, but I was not prepared. And I just gotta say, Budweiser tastes like strawberries to me. It tastes like sweet, and not in like a good way. It tastes like too sweet to me is what I'm trying to say. March 12th, 2021. It was a Friday. 10 a.m. Ruby coffee with half and half made at home, kefir, and a slice of leftover pepperoni pizza. 2 p.m. Slice of leftover mushroom pizza. 7 p.m. Mushrooms, peas, shishito peppers, and cauliflower with brown sauce over white rice made at home. 9 p.m. Dill popcorn made at home. 2 bottles of Hacker-Shore Oktoberfest Marzen. Yeah. Oktoberfest. Why am I drinking Oktoberfest beer in March? Maybe it was on sale. I'm trying to imagine what this dish was. Mushrooms, peas, shishito peppers, and cauliflower with brown sauce over white rice. It's like a stir fry, but inside of a shepherd's pie. I don't know. Remember when shishito peppers was the only thing on every restaurant menu in the United States? And I don't know, they've kind of fallen off. I think maybe you can still buy them at Whole Foods, but people are over them. March 13th, 2021. It was a Saturday. 10 a.m. Leftover Ruby coffee with half and half. Potatoes and onions, scrambled eggs, and red and green salsas over corn tortillas made at home. 3 p.m. Cold brew from Foxglove with half and half and kefir. 6 p.m. Bottle of Hacker-Shore and charred shishito peppers with parmesan and gochugaru made by Brian. 7 p.m. Bok choy, chicken, carrot, and onion in brown sauce over white rice made at home. This is what I'm talking about. A cold brew from Foxglove with half and half. That is the coffee shop that is always filled with smoke. And someone needs to call 911 before their sole employee dies of smoke inhalation. I would love to know if they're still open. Actually, let me just Google it right now. Hold on. Foxglove Pilsen. I mean, their entire staff has probably passed away at this point from the smoke. Okay, they still exist and they're open right now. Pilsen, Chicago, no frills, all flavor. I'm glad they made it. I'm happy for them. Okay. And I gotta say, so I probably had these like little containers of leftover red and green salsas from the tostadas that I put over breakfast. Love salsas for breakfast. And something I miss so much is living in Pilsen. You can go to any grocery store and get hot, fresh salsas for cheap. And the salsa that I have access to now, it's just, it has so many preservatives in it. There was this really hot peanut salsa. And when I worked at Numero, one of my coworkers and it was so hot that we would buy a container and split it and just eat a drop at a time on our chips. Ooh, it was hot. But geez, if you have access to fresh salsa, don't take it for granted, because once you leave that area, you will never find good salsa again. Let's see. Okay, March 14th, 2021. It was a Sunday. 10 a.m. Ruby coffee with half and half and beans with duck sausage, queso fresco, pico de gallo, sweet potato, scrambled eggs, and homemade corn tortillas made by Brian. 4 p.m. Chicken sandwich from Popeyes. 7 p.m. Leftover beans and duck sausage with rice. A bottle of Hacker with ginger tonic made at home. I wonder where I got duck sausage. I vaguely remember this, but not where I got it from. But I have a picture of this breakfast and I remember it, especially because Brian made corn tortillas. I got a tortilla press for Christmas one year. And yeah, Brian makes, I don't know, like every couple of years, Brian will make tortillas. Chicken sandwich from Popeyes, best chicken sandwich you can get at a fast food place, I gotta say. Get the spicy mayonnaise. Yeah, I wish I could tell you where this duck sausage was from, because I know it was from someplace special that we went to. It might have been, I'm trying to remember. There was this place, is it called Paulina Meats on the north side of Chicago? It's this big corner, it's on the corner of a block and it takes up it's huge. And you can go in there and you can get all kinds of meat and sausage. And sometimes Brian and I would just go there for fun. We might have gotten the duck sausage from there. Highly recommended if you're in Chicago, you go to a barbecue, want to have a barbecue, go to Paulina Market or Paulina Meats, whatever it's called. March 15th, 2021. It was a Monday. 9 a.m. Leftover coffee with half and half. 10:30 a.m. McDonald's McGriddle breakfast meal. 3 p.m. Kefir and ginger tonic. 6 p.m. Mapo tofu over white rice made at home. 9 p.m. Part of a marzipan Ritter sports bar and part of a whatchamacallit bar. Wow, this is the day that we got our first COVID vaccine. Because, and I said this in the last archival episode, I think, this was the first time that I had a McDonald's McGriddle. And we had to go to the big sports place, whatever it's called, where everybody has sports. And it was flooded with military personnel. And it was scary. And we got a McDonald's McGriddle either before or after we got the vaccine, just to balance it out for health. So yeah, March 15, 2021 is when we got the vaccine as soon as we could. So, I mean, as soon as it was like any public person could get it. Because, I mean, especially the neighborhood we were living in, people were dropping from it. We had a lot of, and I think the multi-generational houses contributed to it. I mean, a lot of older people were catching stuff from the younger members of their household who still had to work. And I think that was a big issue, at least where I lived. So, and did I still live in Little Village at this time, or was I in Pilsen? I moved during the pandemic, and I don't remember. I must have lived in Pilsen. No, I lived in Pilsen at this point. And then every time I make mapo tofu, I make the Mission Chinese recipe. It is the best. It takes a long time. It involves some prep. The homemade chili crisp is the way to go. You can use store-bought, but store-bought is fine. And something that I really missed having access to, and New York was the place. Chicago wins second place, but Ritter Sports Bar, oh my God. You could get any flavor of Ritter Sports Bar in the world in New York, and the yogurt was the best flavor. I think, so when I was in college, pinkberry was new, and I would always go with my roommate when we would get pinkberry. I love that tart, not too sweet, super tart yogurt flavor. And eventually the pinkberry frozen yogurt craze died down and passed away. And my only way to get that flavor was to eat, well, I mean, I could have eaten yogurt, but it wasn't the same. The yogurt flavored Ritter Sports Bar had that pinkberry quality to it. I don't see a lot of Ritter Sports Bars around. There is that Middle Eastern place, Sasul, that I go to, and they'll have a couple flavors of Ritter Sports Bar, but not the ones that I want. But yeah, they're great. They're square. They're like a chunky bar, which don't pass those up either. Those are great. And I don't even like raisins, but there's something about them that I think it's like an oil-based chocolate, which I am partial to. Okay. March 16th, 2021. It was a Tuesday. 11 a.m. Ruby coffee with half and half. Leftover rice and beans with salsa made at home. 3 p.m. Ginger tonic and Oaxaca cheese. 6 p.m. Chicken tikka masala with charred cauliflower and white rice made at home. 9 p.m. Part of a marzipan Ritter Sports Bar. Yeah, I don't have a ton to report on this day. But I wonder why I was drinking ginger tonic and where I got that from. Because I don't usually drink sugar because I don't like the way it feels on my teeth. Okay, March 17th, 2021. It was a Wednesday. 10 a.m. Ruby coffee with half and half and scrambled eggs over dirty rice made at home. 3 p.m. Spicy chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A, ginger tonic. 7 p.m. Leftover chicken tikka masala with cauliflower, pickles, and white rice, and a tall can of Crispy Boy lager. Ooh, that sounds so good. And I wonder what that was. Crispy Boy lager. Hold on. Googling it. Crispy Boy. Some of these beers, I mean, they're just like one-offs. You never hear about them again. Also, okay, it looks like 100 breweries have a Crispy Boy lager. So, it might have been this Vanna Brewing Hells. What is Vanna Brewing? Vanna Brewing, based in Thailand? Okay, I don't know if it was that. I mean, who knows? I'm sure there were a million Crispy Boy beers and will be a million more. Because how could you not call it? I mean, every beer is a Crispy Boy if you get a tall boy. I don't go to Chick-fil-A anymore because the last time I went, I've had a lot of good Chick-fil-A experiences. Well, that's not true. I guess I have been there since. Oh, actually, the last time I went there, I couldn't actually eat what I got because I had to catch a plane. And I couldn't bring it through security, which was awful. But so Brian ate 2 Chick-fil-A meals. He dropped me off at the airport. But the time I went before that, I ordered a strip meal, and the strips were the size of my pinky. 2 inches. I was mad. Okay. March 18th, 2021. It was a Thursday, 11 a.m. Ruby coffee with half and half. Duck sausage from Paulina Meat Market with scrambled eggs, sauerkraut, black beans, sweet potatoes, fermented daikons, and scallions made by Brian. 5 p.m. Chips and salsa verde with ginger tonic made at home. 7 p.m. Chicken and corn in red sauce over rice made by Brian. 9 p.m. Kinder Chocobones. Yes, the duck sausage was from Paulina Meat Market. Good memory. That sounds like an amazing breakfast. Minus the sweet potatoes. Fermented daikon. Now I remember this ginger tonic is the Renegade that I was making. I was not buying ginger drinks. I was making it, and that makes a lot more sense. It's the Renegade. I talked about it last time. I used to make it at Pies and Thighs. I think the recipe is probably online. A lot of the Pies and Thighs recipes are actually online, but it's lemon juice, honey, and pureed ginger, and then you strain it, and water, obviously, and you can have it cold or hot. Yeah, it's wonderful, and there's sugar in it, obviously, through the honey, but it doesn't feel as bad. It feels healthy. Chicken and corn and red sauce over rice. That sounds interesting. Definitely a Brian creation. I love the Kinder Chocobones, the little eggs, I think. Well, I mean, they're not eggs, but they look like eggs. Okay. March 19th, 2021. It was a Friday. 11 a.m. Ruby coffee with half and half. And sweet potato with chorizo and salsa verde or tortillas made at home. 2 p.m. Focaccia and ginger tonic made at home. 9 p.m. 2 cans of Lagunitas Daytime IPA. Mozzarella sticks from Paulina Meat Market. And focaccia. What a weird day. Yeah, I think we got frozen mozzarella sticks from Paulina Meat Market. We got a bunch of stuff from Paulina Meat Market that when we went, and we must have frozen some of the duck sausage and mozzarella sticks. They had a lot of pre-made foods too, like pre-made Italian foods, I remember. And it was tough picking things out. But can't believe I was drinking an IPA. I'm so over an IPA. When I was young and out of college and like going to bars, I would order an IPA because it was relatively high ABV, relatively cheap, so I could just, drink that all night. I'm, I have a little more access to money now. Not really, but I'm a little more willing to spend something, my money on something else and sacrifice the alcohol intake to have it taste good. March 20th, 2021. It was a Saturday, 10 a.m. Ruby coffee with half and half and sweet potato with chorizo over corn tortillas made at home. 2 p.m. 4 spicy chicken nuggets from Wendy's. 8 p.m. Can of Stillwater General Goza. 2 cans of Middlebrow wit beer. And a glass of whiskey? I wonder what was going on that night. March 20th. Who's a birthday? Who's born in March? I don't know. These days are kind of weird. I'm not really eating a whole lot. I don't know what was going on. During this time. And a glass of whiskey. I mean, I think that means a pour of whiskey, like not a water glass full of whiskey. I would have died. But okay. I wonder what I was up to. I mean, just hanging out, socializing. Who's born in March? No idea. March 21st, 2021. It was a Saturday. 10 a.m. Leftover coffee and half and tortilla chips. 2 p.m. Stroop waffle and ruby coffee with oat milk made by Anna. 5 p.m. Half a can of General Goza and half a piece of chocolate cake made by Kim. 7 p.m. Butter chicken paratha from Ghareeb Nawaz. Oh, so I'm hanging out with people probably because I'm vaccinated at this point. I do remember this weekend. So there was some kind of party the night before, and I remember spending the next day with my sister and alone in her apartment. I took the train and went to see her. And she made us coffee. I guess she was also drinking ruby coffee. But she still is, but at the time she was super into stroop waffles. And in particular, putting the stroop waffle balancing the stroop waffle over your cup of coffee while it's hot. And you wait for your coffee to cool down to the perfect temp. And while you're doing that, the heat from your coffee makes the caramel inside your stroop waffle soft. So then both are at the perfect drinking and eating stage. You get a nice soft caramel stroop waffle and a perfectly temped coffee. That was what we were doing. And then hanging out with Kim? I don't remember. Or I think maybe Kim brought chocolate cake over to my house. I think she gave me chocolate cake and it was in my fridge because Kim lived near me. And then Ghareeb Nawaz. I mean, you can't live in Chicago and not talk about or know about Ghareeb. It's the kind of place that one of my sister's coworkers lived near Ghareeb, and she and her roommates would order Ghareeb together, and they would all get food poisoning and get sick, and they would order it again the next week. No matter how many times they got sick, they would order it again because that's how good it is. And there is one up north. There's a street up north in Chicago where there are a bunch of Indian and Middle Eastern restaurants. And that's where I think the original Ghareeb is. And you can actually sit down there and it's a proper restaurant. But then I think there are a few, but there's a satellite location near UIC in Pilsen for students. And it's, the atmosphere is lacking, but, they're dealing with students. So they need a place they can just hose down. So that's where we would order from. The best butter chicken I've ever had. I will never find another place that does butter chicken like Ghareeb. It's like the only way I can describe it is it's the Doritos of butter chicken. It's this incredible MSG, umami, savory, bright orange, fake butter chicken. They do a butter beef. You can do anything in this butter sauce, and it is just, you'll never beat it. They have raised their prices significantly since I moved away. You used to be able to order bags, get a whole table spread of Ghareeb, and you wouldn't be able to spend over $20, $30. I mean, it was cheap and good. Check it out. Don't get sick though. But if you get sick, don't let it stop you from eating it again. All right. So, an interesting time to be in Chicago, newly vaccinated, and, starting to hang out with people again, starting to feel a little bit more alive. Okay. Well, thanks for visiting me on this archival episode. I will talk to you later.